Dungeons & Dragons has officially redesigned the 5e monster stat block for 2024 and beyond. This is the Sphinx of Wonder, a new monster from the D&D 5e 2024 Player's Handbook, revealed in an exclusive video by friend of the channel, Dungeon Dad. That's his arm, by the way. And if you want to hear all about the lore of Sphinxes and the ideas behind their design through editions of D&D, definitely check out his channel linked below. But we are going to talk about this new design for the 5e stat block because it's kind of neat. First, we're just going to discuss what changed since 2014, just the facts. Then, in the second half of the video, we'll discuss which of these changes seem like they can make the game easier to run, or more simply, more fun. Because I'm Bob, this is where we learn how to have more fun playing RPGs together, and from the top, number 1, this title has a new font, dropping the serifs. 2, creature type and alignment are capitalized now. 3, alignment is simply stated versus some recent monster books calling every monster alignment typical. 4, armor class and hit points have been shrunk down to their acronyms AC and HP. 5, initiative has been added to the stat block. It's listed both as a modifier equal to dex and as a static number in parentheses equal to 10 plus the creature's dex mod. 6, ability scores and modifiers have been rearranged into tiny tables along with saving throw modifiers, but skill modifiers stayed put. 7, damage resistances are now simply resistances, perhaps suggesting we'll see the same treatment for vulnerability and immunity even to conditions, but we'll see. 8, challenge rating, formerly listed as challenge, has also been shrunk into its acronym CR and is listed with proficiency bonus as PB. 9, there's a new header indicating the start of a creature's passive traits, where the term advantage has also been capitalized. 10, under actions, melee weapon attack has been renamed melee attack roll, and no longer includes the text one target to state how many things can be targeted, and damage types like radiant are now capitalized, and finally, reactions now include a specific trigger and response for the reaction. So that's every change that I noticed, but please comment below if you spotted something else. That said, if you haven't looked closely at a D&D 5e monster stat block in the last couple years, the main new things are 1, the addition of initiative, 2, the very idea of a static initiative, and 3, the tabulated ability score modifiers and saving throws, and that's great, right? How often do you get to use the word tabulated? And depending on when in the last couple years you looked closely at a stat block, the addition of proficiency bonus and the loss of typically next to monster alignment may or may not be new to you. But if we think about it, that's, well, usually a sign of good design. The fact that these changes are not so easily noticed because they just feel natural and intuitive for the user. Now, a quick disclaimer, like I said earlier, this is the only stat block that we get to look at for now because it has been revealed publicly. I have been able to see some other 2024 stat blocks, but I can't show them yet, and I'm not being paid by Wizards of the Coast to make this at all. However, this video is marked as sponsored because we have a one-of-a-kind 5e book to talk about, and if you like stat blocks or dinosaurs, this book is going to make your freaking day. Dr. Drolin's Dictionary of Dinosaurs is a paleontology-themed 5e supplement created by actual paleontologists with scientifically accurate stat blocks, descriptions, and artwork. Look at this velociraptor. You're welcome. 57 real Mesozoic creatures with optional magical variants, but it's not just a bestiary. Dr. Drolin's has huge tables of magical mutations for your own monsters, rules for taming creatures, and using giant ones as mounts. It has 20 Mesozoic plants with optional magical features, maybe my favorite part, and a bunch of dinosaur-themed player options, including 6 races, 3 subclasses for the Ranger, Druid, and Artificer? Yeah? Plus new magic items, weapons, armor, feats, the whole deal. And for a limited time, you can save 10% using code BOB10 when you order Dr. Drolin's Dictionary of Dinosaurs or other cool stuff like these dissolving dino dice bombs from paleogames.com, linked below, and they're in the last couple days of kickstarting a Pathfinder 2e conversion of this book if you want to support that project. Feeling awkward because there's little people in the background. Yeah. All right, and I'm gonna stay sitting now because it's hot out and there's like mosquitoes everywhere. I saw a snake today, like it's crazy out here. From the top, This new title font for monster names is a small but nice improvement, because for most people, fonts like this one without serifs are easier to read, which is perfect for skimming a stat block, and that's why the interior text of even the 2014 blocks used a similar font. I like it. Now, capitalizing mechanical terms like creature type and alignment is always an interesting choice, because any special treatment of game terms, whether it's bolding, underlining, italicizing, etc., they are all good ways to ensure that game terms stand out to the reader and let them know, hey, this word is important and it has a specific definition and mechanical purpose in this game. The thing is, you don't want to overdo it. D&D could certainly have justified capitalizing terms like saving throws, spells, creature, ability check, and more, but in a rules-heavy game like this with a ton of mechanical terms, you can't capitalize them all or nothing would actually stand out. So I don't know how they delineated which terms deserve special treatment and which ones don't, but it seems like they struck a good balance. However, it is a little weird to capitalize alignment then, because alignment has virtually no mechanical bearing in D&D 5e. But for that same reason, I'm glad they went back to just saying lawful good instead of typically lawful good. Yeah, everything on the stat block is typical for that monster, but the GM is always free to change anything on the stat block. Anything at all. So unless you're going to write typically next to every single term, making it even more redundant than it already is, it really didn't need to be included. Next, AC and HP listed simply as acronyms introduced in the basic rules of the game. That's a good move. Plain and simple, that's why I did it on my homebrew stat blocks, even though some people said the entire thing was complete garbage. Adding initiative seems like a fantastic change, but mostly, I love it for the inclusion of static initiative. I really hope more people see this and try it out. It is just plain faster and smoother for transitioning into combat if you do not roll for every single monster. And I'm not saying never have any creatures or PCs roll. I'm not saying there's one objectively best method that everyone must use for determining turn order in combat. But unless you find it super fun to pause the game, roll for every single monster, organize your little initiative tracker, unless that is like a fun part of the game for you, I definitely recommend just trying out any static initiative method, or this one suggested by the new blocks. But maybe we're due for a video on that, because there are multiple different methods you could try, each one faster than rolling for every single creature. But now probably the biggest, seemingly weirdest change is the addition of this tiny Excel spreadsheet on every single stat block. This is some extreme minimalist design. I did not dare take my homebrew stat blocks this far, but in the alternate universe where I did this, or really where anyone did this, and then touted it as an improvement to the previous design of 5e stat blocks, my gosh, people would have roasted this design. No shot would this have been accepted coming from anyone but WotC, and that's kind of annoying. Think about the new Game Master, their eyes naturally drawn to this dense block, this table of 18 numbers, which somehow makes a stat block look both boring and intimidating. This was a weird move, and you know what? I like it. I like the minimalist approach, just cramming together all that info that you need. It works for me, but yeah, I'm kind of dying to hear what other people have to say about it, so definitely know what you think about this one in the comments. Then another minimalist move, they cut the redundant word damage from damage resistances, and I expect they'll do it for vulnerability, but for immunities, it doesn't make quite as much sense because it could be for conditions as well, but I feel like it's going to make sense for them to do it. It just would have been cooler for them to move these closer to AC and HP where you need them, because then it's easier to remember what those resistances are actually affecting. Similarly, reducing challenge rating and proficiency to acronyms was good because this game uses these acronyms. Like generally, acronyms are kind of a bad idea because they just conceal information, make it harder to learn. But D&D, it's in the name, baby. D&D is all about acronyms, so they really should just use the ones they've created. I like seeing it. And next, I like this idea for a separate section of traits, but I would have made one tiny change. This section is everything except actions, bonus actions, reactions. Therefore, it is passive stuff. And since you're creating this whole new line for a header anyway, they could have just called it passives to better clarify what these things are, but it's not a big deal. Okay, there's your one plain interruption for this video. As for attack rolls, I don't know what was accomplished by renaming it, but I'm glad they removed the completely redundant phrase, one target, from every single attack on presumably every single stat block. And yeah, there were like a few things that said one creature instead of one target, but by and large, it was redundant. And by now, you may have heard my hot takes on attack rolls, thinking they should look like this. Especially though, if this table is okay, this should be okay too. So looking at the changes overall, let me know what you think down in the comments, and let me know what other D&D 2024 topics you'd like to see a video about. For example, I kind of want to talk about the new design of the character sheet, but I have no idea if anyone else cares about that. In any case, remember to give this video a thumbs up and consider joining the amazing Bob World Builder patrons who directly support what I do and get some cool rewards every month. Keep building.